Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and while the Pokemon TCG has a ton of really interesting cards, a lot of the times some of the cards are pretty tame as well. For example, if we look at the upcoming 100 deck collection, there's a lot of megas, and a lot of the megas, to be honest, are pretty boring, just doing a simple amount of damage on like a stage 2 mega. They're not horrible cards, they're not super boring, but they're also not super exciting, and there's definitely room for interesting cards, which is why today we're taking a look at 10 custom cards created by 10 different people in my community, and I want to show them off and take a look at them, analyze them, all that good stuff. And before we hop into things, I just want to say you can submit your own cards on my Discord server, which is linked on my channel page. If you didn't know, YouTube links are on the channel page, or links from YouTube channels are on the home channel page. I think most people know that by now, but there was a time at which people didn't know that. So if you didn't, that's where those are at the top there. And sometimes you might need to click on like an about section in that top section as well, or like a see more. And then you can submit them in my custom card submission channel. But also make sure you subscribe, like all that good stuff. But let's hop right in. And these are submitted by, as I said, 10 different people. They're all essentially one card. A few are like a few cards together, or one is a few cards together. But the first card here is Solgaleo. And in terms of balancing, these are balanced kind of to standard, but they don't need to be they don't need to necessarily be competitive level cards, but they also can be. They can be very strong. They can be kind of meh. There's a certain range in which you should ideally have those cards in. I think most of them are, but I think a couple aren't. But we'll get to that. But right now we have the Solgaleo submitted by Zandon here. This is a really cool card. This is a stage 2. Also, there was a Lunala submitted with it. I decided to just look at the Solgaleo here today. This is a 160 HP stage 2. Of course, it falls from Cosmoem here. It also has the ability Soul Arrival, which says you can only use this ability if you have exactly 2, 4, 6 prizes remaining, and it is not your first turn. You can play this card from your hand onto your bench, and if you do, you can attach a basic metal from it, from your hand to it. Yeah, and then you can't use more than one of this ability per turn, or more than one soul arrival ability, so you can't use another one. Then you have this attack here, Solar Eclipse from Metal Colorless. You do 80, you draw 2 until the end of your next turn. Each of your Pokemon's attacks cost 2 fire less. I'm pretty sure, and correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong, Zandon, but I believe that this doesn't reduce colorless. I don't believe it's intended to. It could be. I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, it's a lot stronger if it reduces colorless, but reducing attack cost is really interesting. We see things like Counter Gain, which is very powerful, as well as Sparkling Crystal, two, in my opinion, cards that are a little underrated, both very good. And this is interesting, reducing it next turn. Your opponent knows it's coming. A lot of the power from cards like Counter Gain and Sparkling Crystals, you can kind of burst attackers onto the board. You can still do that with Solgaleo here on the next turn by playing something that normally is very expensive, and this is kind of like Energy Acceleration, except it can't be targeted, but your opponent does still kind of know what's coming. You also do have setup in the form of drawing cards. Normally setting up in the form of drawing cards with attacks isn't particularly good. It's not like terrible, but there's very few cards like that that are actually good, but this is paired with another form of setup as well, which I think makes it really cool. The ability also, so obviously I'm not showing off the Lunala here. The Lunala's ability was on 1, 3, and 5 prizes. This is on 2, 4, and 6, which is a lot easier to use. I do like stage 2s you can play directly, and there have been some that are pretty easy to play. Specifically, there's a Gengar you could just put it from your compile into play. And yeah, this is something that you can't do always, but you can do a lot of the time, and you can pretty much guarantee that you do it. I was going to say all the time, but Solar Eclipse actually doing 80 here can get knockouts, and if you take a knockout with this ability, you can't play another one. This is just a really fun ability, also accelerating to itself. It's probably a little strong. You can't do it turn 1, which definitely helps balance it out a little, as a very powerful setup attacks. Turn 1 are, you want to use setup attacks turn 1. This isn't an attack that's like a set, like for example, Team Turbo Energize, which you really don't want to be using like turn 2 going second. That feels pretty bad. This is an attack you can use at various different points. It does decent damage for a single prizer. It draws you cards, which could get hit by Iono, and it does accelerate, but not in a way that's as vulnerable as something like Team Turbo Energize or Joltik, which could, if your opponent hits you with bosses up, the Pokemon you accelerate all the energy to, then that can be like really bad. So I really like this card. It's a card that's a little complicated, but not too complicated. It's for a quote complicated custom card, it's not bad at all. I do think custom cards can be more complicated than regular ones. We will see one that's like really out there, which I think is really fun. But yeah, I really love this card. This is, I think, my favorite of the ones submitted. Not that I don't like a lot of them, but this one is really just a really fun design in my opinion. Moving on to the next card, this is Pachirisu EX. This card here is submitted by Darth Zigzagoon. This is a card that has I believe it was submitted in like a different Discord server for like a Christmas challenge or something. That's why there's the theming here. But you have Christmas. Oh yeah, it's Christmas in the name. Christmas generosity. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a Pokemon tool and attach it to one of your Pokemon. Then you shuffle your deck afterward. And if you can't attach a tool to a Pokemon, you can't use this ability. So if your board is filled with tools, you can't use it. I don't believe that's required to be added here, but I'm not 100% sure. It's not going to hurt to have it, though. And then you have this attack your Happiness Radiance, which is for Lightning Colorless. You do 70, and then you do or 7 times multiplier for each Pokemon with 30 HP in play. And then if this Pokemon have a tool attached, you add 10 damage for each tool attached to each Pokemon with 30 HP. The wording is kind of clunky. There's one thing that isn't clarified, or maybe it is, but maybe like I'm not sure if it's yours and your opponent's. Also, I assume it's remaining HP, not max HP. It could be max HP. To be honest, I don't know how much it matters. Like getting your opponent or just Pokemon in play down to 30 HP is that don't start with 30 HP is like kind of hard. This is interesting, encouraging you to get these really squishy Pokemon to play, really baby Pokemon, and like getting tools on your baby Pokemon is really fun. And so you do 70 times, and that's 80 times if you have the tools attached. I'd make it more damage for tools and then less for the Pokemon to really encourage the tool stuff. Tools can be useful, obviously, just have on your board, but really having tools spread across your board generally isn't super useful, especially because these are going to be Pokemon with 30 HP or less. And so you only do 10 more for each tool attached to one of the 30 HP Pokemon as well, with Pachirisu. Pachirisu also is a Pokemon that I think commonly has tool cards. I don't know. I know there is. Oh, we're looking at Japanese. There was where is it? There's a Pachirisu that does like damage based on tools. Oh yeah, this one from Brilliant Stars. Let's see. There were like a handful, not that many, but there is this one, which is like a cool Pachirisu. Didn't really see much play, but it is a fun card. But yeah, I like the idea of this card. I feel like the stats on it are pretty good. It is very strong, but it's a little awkward to attack with as well. Let me actually check something. Dynamo, obviously. Okay, yeah, so Dynamo does not have 30 HP in standard. You could get damage on it if it doesn't count max HP, which I don't think. I think it's remaining HP. But there's a lot of kind of weird stuff going on in this card. I like the idea. I think the wording is kind of clunky here. Not exactly sure how I'd clean it up, but I do like the idea, getting these tools, spreading them around, and getting rewarded for spreading them around. And then you obviously want cards that have like value from tools. Also, I was just looking at the tools in the image, which by the way, awesome image here. But you have Ancient Booster Energy Capsule and Cynthia's Power Weight, which are like they're pretty good tools, I guess. But like they increase HP, so if it's remaining HP actually, then that would get them out of the range. So regardless, I do like this quite a bit here. Then we have the next card, Carbink here. This was submitted by Shib PGS, I believe I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but yeah. Oh, also, there are a ton of new people who've popped into my Discord server or started posting cards. So I'm really happy about that. And as I said, you can check that out and submit your own. And the rules are in there. It's nothing complicated. But and also, these cards are made on PokeCardMaker.net. They don't have to be. And some of them are made using things outside of that as well. In terms of images, the place I'd recommend is literally just like look at cards that no one really knows that are like actual cards, and then just take an image from that, which this one does. Someone else actually used the same image on a card. But anyways, this card has the ability Final Jewel. You can only use this ability if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, so you're losing. Then once during your turn, you may move all basic energy attached to your Pokemon. Provide what I can't read. Once during your turn, you may have all basic energy cards attached to your Pokemon. Provide every type of energy, but only one energy at a time until the end of this turn. If you use this ability, this Pokemon's knocked out. This ability is really interesting. I'll quickly talk about the attack. 60 for 3 is fine. And yeah, this ability is really interesting. Obviously, abilities that knock yourself out have to be strong, and this ability is strong. I don't know, or like if it did knock yourself out, it would be pretty strong, I guess. I don't know. Transforming energy types is really interesting. I'm trying to think of cards. I mean, so essentially, by the way, if you're confused by the wording of like every type, but only one energy at a time, this is the same wording that you'll see on stuff like Prism Energy, or pretty much any energy like that. It's every type, but only one at a time. This actually means that if you have a card like Tinkaton, I guess, not sure why that's the one that came to mind, but there's a Tinkaton from apparently Paradox Rift that if it's a psychic energy, that if it has a metal attached, it does 120 more. So it's going to be both a psychic and a metal if you have an energy like that, like Prism, but not Prism because it doesn't work on evolutions, but like Luminous or something. So that's the idea there. I guess Monkey Dory as well. That might be a better example, but a lot of the time, Munkidori is not commonly going to be using, it will use Luminous some, but then it might have a Psychic on it as well. Or like, you're going to see with a Darkness and a Psychic on it, like semi-commonly. So anyways, there's some like weird stuff with that, but this is the normal wording. So anyways, this like turning energies into different types, though, is kind of weird. It's not really something we see very much. There's like the Ogre's Mask card, which is not that, but it kind of is like that, where you like swap an Ogre Pawn. There's also a card called Rainbow Brush. Yeah, that's the name of it. This card, as far as I'm aware, not super good. You choose an energy attached to one of your Pokemon, then you search your deck for a basic energy and switch it with that card. Then you send the first one back into your deck. So you swap out an energy. This is not the same. It's definitely weaker, but it doesn't knock itself out. I feel like Carbink probably shouldn't knock itself out. Maybe I'm missing some crazy combo. Um, I'm trying to think of like exactly what the use case of this is. I guess it actually is kind of useful with Ogre's Mask. You just accelerate a ton of grass energies, but this is something that you realistically need to be pretty heavily building around, I think. I mean, there are decks that are accelerating a lot of different types of energies. I just thought of how does this work with Meganium. I'm not sure. If anyone knows how this would work, tell me down below in the comment section. I mean, these are custom cards, so don't have official rulings, but I'm not sure how that would work. But anyways, you have the Carbink here, doing like energy fixing, which again can be powerful. I mean, you look at a deck like Armarouge, which isn't like super good. Which Armarouge is it? This Armarouge? I think so. So you look at Horror Armarouge. Also, I'm not like familiar with what's actually in this deck, to be honest. But okay, yeah, like Terapagos EX, or like Iron Hands EX with their attacks that are not just colorless or not just one non-colors, right? So the first attack on Iron Hands EX, the second attack on Terapagos EX, they're not like super good to be honest, but there's other attacks like this that are like actually good. There's Pecker on EX as well. There's Roaring Moon EX. Actually, no. Yeah, Roaring Moon EX. That's the actual example that I was looking for. Roaring Moon EX cannot be powered up in one turn by a bunch of colorless energies and one energy of darkness, because you can't attack there. So this Carbink will allow you to fix that. You don't have to use it though. I mean, obviously it's not using it because it's not a real card. So that can help you fix your energies in a situation. It only fixes basics, but that's most of your energies, and so you should be able to get where you need to be. I really like the idea of Care Bank. I don't think it's quite strong enough, but it's a really cool card. I mean, it's an okay card. It's not like terribly weak. Generally, cards with weird, wacky effects that aren't like super bizarre are pretty good. I mean, there's stuff like Amoonguss and from Silver Tempest, which is obviously not in standard, which has like a weird effect that's like bad. But I feel like these like weird support effects generally are good. I don't know, but I really do like this card here. Then we have the next card here. This is Parasect. This was submitted by Ultima here, and the Parasect has the ability Spread Spores. This says if this Pokemon is in the act of knocked out by damage from an opponent's Pokemon, you may attach up to 2 basic energy cards from your hand to your Pokemon in any way you like. You also have Spore Slicer for 2, which is 60, and Sleep. Pretty simple attack here. Again, nothing crazy. It's fine, certainly. But the ability here, well, okay, it's not like fine, isn't it? It's like good. It's not very good, but it's fairly balanced and on theme for Parasect and stuff like that. But the ability here is pretty interesting. Obviously, the spreading spores, I think, fits actually really well thematically, where the Pokemon's like kind of spreading energy around, which is representative of the spores. I will say it could be moving energy from itself to other Pokemon, but this is better and more interesting. If moving energy kind of like EXP share, but like more like a baton effect, right? Where you move the energy off yourself to something else. That could be cool, but again, you need the energy on it. It's not a very good attacker. Admittedly, this on a basic I think would be a little cooler. I'd like to see this because there was a Paris submitted. It didn't really do anything spectacular. It was a pretty generic card. But this on a Paris could be cool. Maybe just one energy as well to make it a little weaker. But this is kind of like TM Turbo Energize, which I mentioned earlier. It's not the same. TM Turbo Energize, your opponent could hit you with Boss to knock out the opponent you accelerate to. That can't happen here. However, they can hit you with Iono, and then you won't necessarily have the energies in your hand. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic. I do like this idea of doing something on knockout that's actually like interesting as opposed to like a little extra damage is going to be the main thing, or like preserving energy. I guess like EXP share is like the same idea, but this is just something a little different as well. So I do like this. You actually have a decision. You actually play cards during your opponent's turn, which is interesting, and it's not like it's crazy complicated or anything. There are other games where you play stuff a lot more during your opponent's turn. Pokemon's not like that to simplify things, which I do think is good, but especially with a custom card here. I do like this. I could see something like this coming out in the actual game as well. It's not like super complicated, but it is a pretty fun card here with, I think, some like very fair acceleration. Then we have Blanche's Meowstic. This was submitted by Sailor May. This is a card here which is really weird. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even like read the full card before making this, but this card has the ability Future Sight. I was looking. I was like, Future Sight. That's the thing in the TCG, and it is. It's let's see. Future Sight is the attack used on oh I yeah, obviously there's a lot of future cards, aren't there? But Sight, here we go. So on like Absol EX, I kind of forgot this card existed before looking this up. But yeah, you like rearrange the top card of either player's deck. These cards are actually like kind of broken in some weird alternate formats, like Cube or something. I think I don't know. But anyways, that's that. But it's not really an issue overlapping names that much. Though generally it is better to avoid it. But let's be honest, who's like caring that much about Future Sight in the TCG? But we have this ability here which says this Pokemon is immune to all special conditions. And once during Pokemon checkup, if one of your belongs to Meowstic, I don't know why EX, I don't know why it got cut off here. It's kind of weird. That might be a glitch by my Pokecard Maker. It might be something that the creator did as well because they like kind of ran out of space. This is a longer card here. Also, is this the regular font size? This might be. I think it is. There is a way to make it smaller using like some minus command or something in Pokecard Maker. I think this one is regular size, but maybe I'm just imagining it and it is smaller. But you can do that. It doesn't look as good though, but you can. But generally it's better if you don't have to. But anyways, so and then once during your turn, if it this oh wait, so there's a Blanche's Meowstic EX. Which is a card. I don't remember what it does. I'm just showcasing this one here, though. This is the more interesting one, in my opinion, though I might showcase that one before, or no, later. What am I saying? But anyways, so once during each Pokemon checkup, rotate this Pokemon 90 degrees clockwise. Again, if it is not facing upwards. Oh, wait, no. So, wait, there's two parts to this. So you may rotate this 90 degrees during your turn. And then you can rotate this 90 degrees again during checkup. And then if it's rotated upwards, place 20 damage on your points active. Only one of your Pokemon can use Future Sight at a time. As in be rotated like this, I think. This is kind of complicated, obviously. So let me... So this is like a damaging ability. We've seen like damaging abilities on Meowstic in the past, and they're cool. I like the damaging abilities. Once it like plays damage cards, like I like Munkidori. I'm a bit of a Munkidori hater, as in like I think it's overrated. But I actually think it's a really really fun card. Anyways, so this says wait. So if you have the Pokemon on the active, then you can rotate this, which is using the ability. Oh no, that's during Pokemon checkup. And then you can rotate it again. Okay, so you can rotate it twice, if I'm not mistaken. Unless I'm misreading this. So, and the immune to special conditions is like part of the ability. We can only use one at a time. Using one at a time, I think, is like having it rotated one at a time. But then what happens if the other one's affected? Like, can you have one affected by special conditions? I guess if I'm trying to think this way. Wait, so could you only use this if you have the Blanche Meowstic EX in the active, or is it like the first part you can only use if the Blanche Meowstic EX is in the active, and the second part you can use whenever, or like even if it's not in the active, because your opponent could like gust around this. Anyways, this is like kind of cool. Obviously, kind of weird rotating cards. It's theoretically a little complicated to keep track of whether this is affected by a special condition or not. But let's be honest, that shouldn't be that hard to figure out. And the wording's like complicated. It kind of says the same thing twice, but like you're doing it twice. So again, the wording's like complicated. But this is a really fun idea. Obviously, this is like a true custom card idea, which I really like. I really like crazy ideas. By the way, if you're submitting cards, do like crazy things. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy wacky mechanics, and I really like this card. Again, it is like complicated or kind of convoluted, but it is fun, resulting in this like weird timer thing you're keeping track of. It's another counter, but it's not like it's in a way that you can do without adding another piece, which is good. If you have to add like extra game pieces, that's not so good. Really, the main game piece you're going to be looking at is damage counters, and also I guess special conditions, which are also kind of annoying. So yeah, I do like this card. Definitely a weird card. No attack as well. I definitely don't mind Pokemon that attack. So which Pokemon like actually did that? I can't think of the last time they did that. Honestly, not in, like I don't think they've ever done it. Oh no, they did it on Ditto. Wait, there's a Ditto with it, right? It's not the standard Ditto, right? Yeah, okay. There was a Ditto which didn't have an attack, but it copied Pokemon, so essentially it did. But they essentially never do Pokemon without attacks that are regular Pokemon at least. Then we have this next card here, though. This is Eevee. This is submitted here by by Flint, and this is actually three cards here. This is the only person who I had three separate cards because they're all very similar. We got this Eevee. They all have like pretty much the same stats. But we have, I think I opened them in different ways or something. Or maybe they're not centered. I don't know. But they have 7 HP. They're colorless. You have Sappy Seed for grass colorless. It does 20. And if this Pokemon is grass type until the end of your turn. And then it does 40 more to if you're attacking a Terra. Then for water colorless, Freezy Frost, 10. Water type play on turn. Discard 2 from this Pokemon and from the defending Pokemon. With Freezy Frost and Glitzy Glow on this Eevee. For Psychic colorless, you 20, obviously your Psychic type, and then you move one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active before you do damage. Batty Bad, by the way, I feel like that name, like they're kind of fun with alliteration. I feel like Batty Bad definitely feels weaker than the others, but it's kind of silly. Like, again, obviously Darkness colorless, or Darkness, it does 10, but if you're hitting a stage 2 Mega, you do 170 more. And then you have Sizzly Slide for Fire colorless, you 30. And then you get your opponent can't play stadiums next turn, and Buzzy Buzz. I do actually kind of like this one a little more than Batty Bad. But anyways, you're Lightning, and then you do, if you're hitting in a Pokemon with an ability, you do 40. I will say a lot of these are kind of weak. I mean, it is a Pre-Evolution basic, right? So like it's not supposed to be that strong. But I mean, honestly, in the regular TCG and with custom cards, I'd like to see stronger Pre-Evolution basics. I think they're always fun, especially if they have synergy with the evolutions, which this one kind of does. Changing types is really interesting. Something, obviously, I really like the types in the TCG. That is my channel's name, which, by the way, you should subscribe to if you're not, because it supports me and it's free, and you'll see more cool content. But yeah, I do like these cards. I honestly would almost like if they were all in the same card. If there was like an Eevee with like 6 or 7 or 8 attacks, obviously, yeah, 6 actually. Yeah, not 7, maybe 8, because there's 8 evolutions, but they're across 6 types. So anyways, you have the different attacks. I wish they were all in the same card. You can't really fit them all in the same card, but I really like these cards because they really highlight what the types do, I guess. I feel like the grass one's maybe weaker. I don't know. We was focused on like nature, and it's like, oh, Terra's not natural. So that's why it's doing more to Terras. But the water one being disruptive kind of feels pretty thematic. The Darkest one doing more to Megas. I mean, that feels like fine, I guess. I don't know if there's a strong thematic reasoning for it. This one, like the Darkest one, does way more than the others. It's like so much stronger. It is a lot more situational. It's not like it's broken, or I could see it seeing play against you in like Mega Guard. Well, Mega Guard VX isn't even like very good. Honestly, I don't think any of the Stage 2 Megas are very good, unless I'm forgetting one. I think the best one is... I don't know. Maybe I'm forgetting one. But to be honest, most of them are like not very good. They're not terrible. They're kind of meh. But you have Glitzy Glow, which is like a gusting attack, which is fun. And you have the Fire one, which has like Stadium Disruption. To be honest, Stadium Disruption is like pretty bad. Like we see a little bit of Stadium Disruption, and it like doesn't really matter. But then Buzzy Buzz is like very underwhelming. I'd say that one definitely feels like the weakest. I think. It's not like horrendously terrible compared to like a regular card, just like a generic card. It's like fine, but I really do like this idea of like a Pokemon with versatility. I think these on the same card, as I said, would be really cool if you could do that. But you know, really fitting the theming of the types is very fun. Obviously, the Pokemon TCG, you have types, and the types kind of have a bit of a type identity. I might make a video about that. I made some in the past, but tell me down below in the comment section if you'd be interested in that, me like diving more into that, because there's some really interesting stuff, but also it's a lot of work, depending how I do it. But yeah, I do like this idea. A pretty simple set of cards here, but they are pretty fun. Moving on to the next card here. This is Mega Gengar EX. This card was submitted by Bombastron. This card here has, obviously it's a Mega. It's a Stage 2. I guess the one Eevee would one-shot it, I think. That's submitted by Flint. But this card here has the ability Esoteric Eye, saying once during your turn when you use this ability, or you can use this ability, choose an item from the Lost Zone, excluding Ace Spec cards, and use the effect of this ability, or the effect of the card as this ability. And you can't use more than one Esoteric Eye ability per turn. I guess that's good. I'm not sure. I can certainly see that being fair, but I don't know if it's like super important. But then you have the attack here, Mega Poltergeist, which says for Psychic Colorless Colors, you do 2/10. Discard 2 random cards from your opponent's hand. Either those are item or tool cards. Put them into Lost Zone instead. I feel like the tool thing isn't super useful. I mean, I don't know. It's like fine. Items and tools are like grouped together because they work together. But yeah, obviously getting items into the Lost Zone is good. To be honest, this ability is really cool. I don't think this card was submitted with any other cards that work with it. There's some other cards submitted with it, I believe, but I don't think it's related. But I could be mistaken. But this ability is really interesting, allowing you to interact with the Lost Zone in an interesting way. So not like the most interesting card in my opinion. I mean, it's a kind of cool card, but it's actually it's a relatively cool card. But there's a Mew Prime, which is just oh no, it's Mew. Mew's so hard to search for. By the way, if you didn't know, the abbreviation for 151, that's not Mew. For 151 is Mew. So if you search Mew in Limitless, it shows all the 151 cards. But there's a Mew from. This is going to take me so long to find. Oh, I found it. Okay. From Triumphant, apparently, the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, when the first time I believe we had Lost Zone. I could be wrong on that. Wait, no, the second time we had Lost Zone, I think. Then you have this ability here, though, which lets you copy or lets you use the attacks of the Pokemon in the Lost Zone. Very similar to Esoteric Eye here, letting you use the items in the Lost Zone. I guess you could pair this if like you had other Lost Zone stuff. You could put your own items as well there, which is really fun. Reusing items is something we just like don't see, and items are like super interesting. They are, they can do a wide variety of things. They're not as powerful as supporters though. Getting like extra access to them, it just isn't something Pokemon really does too much though. We see like Arven, and we see Knockdown, I guess. And those aren't like cool cards. They're powerful, but they're not like broken. They're just good. They give you versatility, but you know they're not crazy overpowered or anything. But overall, I really do like this Mega Gengar. Obviously, allowing you to reuse stuff. I think paired with Mega Poltergeist, I think it does need something like Colossus Tenacity or some like Lost Zone Disruption from your opponent. Also, I'm pretty sure this is like interacting with both Lost Zones. I think like the most recent version of Lost Zone, it's more like a one-person thing, but this is clearly like putting them together, which I do think is cooler as well. But yeah, I do really like this card with this like kind of silly ability. To be honest, on Stage 2 Mega, like Stage 2 Megas need to be really good. As I said, they're like kind of bad. The actual best ability on a Stage 2 Mega is definitely, or I guess there's Mega Venusaur, which is like, honestly, its ability is kind of bad. But Mega Gengar EX's ability in Standard, the one where you give up on this prize, this is like a powerful ability, which I think feels pretty fair on a Mega. Honestly, it's very powerful. I played against it today actually, at the time of recording, and it was like kind of cool. My opponent like didn't honestly. I mean, they played all right. The deck's not super good because you need kind of other stuff. And on top of that, I just kind of like beat them. I was playing Gold Egg. I was like, I haven't played meta stuff in a while. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. Is this good enough? I don't know, but it might be good. It might be very good, but it's a super, super cool card that I really love.
Moving on to the next card here, we have a Shaymin EX here submitted by Corey. This card's really interesting with the ability setup, which if you're not familiar, we've seen this ability in the past on Shaymin EX, which was capital E, capital X, which doesn't matter for this, but I guess it matters that it is an older card. And also, like, pretty broken. I usually don't like to use the word broken too much. Actually, I guess I like to use it in thumbnails and titles to get people's attention. But, like, you know, let's be honest, there aren't that many cards, like, that are actually broken. Like, broken as in, like, they really substantially hurt the game, they're super overpowered, etc. But the old Shaymin EX was, and it had one difference in its ability. It had the same name here, which said when you play it onto your bench, from your hand onto your bench, you get to draw until you have 6 cards in hand. But it didn't have the second line. You can't use it on your first turn if you go first. To be honest, though, I feel like that's not a huge nerf. You can go second and do this like powerful, crazy plays. That being said, in standard, and I believe Corey submitted some other cards. I'm not featuring them today, but I might feature them in the future. You can check them out, as I said, on the Discord server. They interact with the idea, which I think is intentional here, that you can't really search for Pokemon into your hand that easily in standard right now, specifically with the fact that you can't search for, I mean, you can't nest ball through them. Right? I mean, you can, but it doesn't go into your hand, and it won't trigger the ability. So that makes this feel a lot more fair than, you know, maybe it could in other ways. There's not really ways to scoop this up super easily either. I mean, you could use it with your supporter, which I guess is pretty easy, but it's your supporter, then it's drawing you cards, which is like what most supporters do. So you have Skydive as well. You discard this and attach cards for 2 colorless. You do 60. I feel like the attacks fine. I don't want to say the attack's too good, but compared to where maybe it should be, but realistically it's fine. And then the ability, also the HP is like spot on as well. The ability is probably still too good. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm definitely someone who likes Shaymin EX more than most people in terms of balance. Like, I think it's a card I would not mind seeing in the game. It's very, very powerful, but it's a card that like, it's not like you just win if you play it, right? It allows you to do your stuff, but I mean, it's, you know, if your deck's just like, I don't know, it like increases burst draw, but you can also just like draw into those cards anyway. So it's more so like a powerful situational attacking, or like not attacking, drawing option to get into like your powerful attacker or whatever, like Pheasantipede EX. Also, this is like kind of weird. It like is on the trend that Squawkabilly EX isn't. I guess this is so it doesn't completely replace Squawkabilly EX. I do think it is too powerful. I mean, so if you didn't know, there's also Crobat V, which is the same thing, except that it was a card that couldn't be, you can't use more than one of its ability per turn. Obviously, the idea is to like really mimic Shaymin EX here, letting you use multiple per turn. But I do like this card a lot. I think it's, you know, it's a pretty clear creation of the original Shaymin EX, and I do like that card, and I think this card wouldn't be completely game breaking in the game. I mean, we also see, if you're not aware, there's a reprint, or not a reprint, but like a spiritual reprint of the ability where you of like Lumineon V, or typically the GX, where you play it, you get a supporter. So definitely a fun ability there, a very powerful ability, and Shaymin EX obviously also a powerful ability here as well. So Pokemon's not afraid to put powerful abilities. They're kind of afraid, but they do it some. Then we have this Mega Darkrai EX here. This card was submitted by Call Me Crimp, and this card here has the ability Nightmare Eye. Also the attack Endless Void, which is 2 energy, 120 sleep, which is fine, I think. I mean, I've always complained about Megas being too weak for the most part, but this is fine. I mean, it's about the ability here. This card is not too weak, though. You have the ability Nightmare Eye, which is once a turn, you may discard a basic, or no, a darkness energy from your hand, and then if you do, you can look at your opponent's hand, or you I guess, yeah, you don't have to look at their hand, but you presumably should. And then you discard a card from it. And if you did, if you discard an energy from your opponent's hand this way, you may search your discard pile for 1 darkness energy and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon in any way you like. And yeah, this ability is very powerful. In terms of energy acceleration, it's like fine. In terms of hand destruction, this card is crazy because it essentially lets you like, and you can use more than 1 Nightmare Eye ability each turn. Even if you couldn't, I think if you couldn't, this card might be a bit more balanced. I like the idea of like, so by the way, discarding the basic energy from your opponent's hand is like kind of bad. It's probably, in terms of, not a basic, but any energy. Generally discarding energy, I guess against like Dragapult or something, it's like good. I say or something. Look at the top dash, discarding energy from like Goldango and like Gardevoir. I mean, just going from Gardevoir is like, my voice. My voice is very tired. But yeah, from Gardevoir is actively bad for you. It's good for them, presumably. So other situations, it's like whatever. But yeah, discarding special energies can be rough, but discarding like anything, yeah, you can discard anything. I think this should maybe only be able to discard energies or something, because discarding any card every single turn, multiple times per turn, is like super good. Hand disruption can be incredibly powerful, specifically when it's targeted. Non-targeted hand disruption, like random hand disruption, is kind of underwhelming. Hand disruption where your opponent chooses is like quite bad generally, unless it's like you need to be discarding so many cards, or like their entire hand. Realistically, hand disruption where your opponent chooses what they get to discard from their hand is bad unless you get rid of their entire hand. I can't think of any cards like that are particularly good. Obviously, if you know me, I think Zero Six is kind of bad. So it was like, yeah, you'll think it's bad until it happens to you. Nah, I love when people do it. It's like, compared to the other options, it's like so underwhelming. And it's like, someone's like, yeah, it's like, if you're playing Goldango though, you'll get crushed by it. And I was like, yeah, okay, I haven't played that much Goldango recently. I used to play it a lot. But I was like, yeah, I'll play some. And I was like, oh, I've got these massive hands all the time. And I was like, okay, well, what happens? Let me see. What if I just have the 3 best cards in my hand? It's like, well, this hand would still be quite good. So long story short, well, you know what I'm going to say. But anyways, we have this card here, which has the ability to discard cards from your opponent's hand repeatedly and target it. It's like super powerful. So yeah, definitely a bit too strong here. You do need to discard the basic darkness from your hand. It's not free, but it's relatively free. I think if it forces you to discard it from that Pokemon, it could be fair, unless I'm misreading this, in which case it's actually like fair. I have done that in the past, but yeah, I do think this card is powerful, a little too powerful. Hand disruption can be cool, can be really annoying, but yeah, very powerful. Probably should be tuned down a little. I like the idea of discarding something weaker, presumably, and then getting advantage for it, though. Then we have the last card here, Baxcalibur. This card was submitted here by Down here with the ability Bitter Cold Blade. This is a Mega and a Stage 2. If this is in the active spot and damage from attack from opponent's Pokemon, then you flip a coin. If heads, it's now paralyzed, which is fine. I'm generally not a huge fan of coin flip abilities or stuff, especially powerful swinging ones, though this one... Wait, when does paralysis wear off? I don't actually know. Does paralysis wear off at the end of your turn? Or no, it's the end of when's paralysis wear off? Yeah, no, paralysis wears off at the end of your turn, right? I think. So then it would just wear off instantly. I could be wrong about that. I don't know. But obviously the idea is like that doesn't happen. So anyway, so like paralyzing half the time is kind of fine. I mean, it's all right, but you're also being hit into, which like isn't so good. And then Glaive Crash for 2 water, you do 240, and then you can also, if you have 3 more waters, you just you can discard all of them, and then you do 140 more. I actually like the extra, like the 240 for 2 is like fine. I think the extra, I mean, it's so much extra energy, and you lose all the energy, and you don't do that much more damage. I mean, you're like one-shotting pretty much everything, or like everything. So. But still, it's like it's so much energy. I definitely make the second half of the attack a bit stronger. Overall, a relatively simple, straightforward card, but a relatively cool card nonetheless. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff. Obviously, the longer one here. I want to highlight a bunch of different cards from a bunch of different creators, but I hope you enjoyed. And make sure you do all that good stuff down below the video. And I hope you enjoyed. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next one.